like this, they're separate from the herd. Their energy levels aren't really what they used to be, and they don't really have the energy to stay with that herd that we saw a little bit earlier. These guys spend most of their days just eating in the grass adjacent to these watering points, and then they will come and lie up in these watering points during the heat of the day. They'll roll in mud, which cools them down and also gives them a coating of mud against parasites. And with them in the water, it's also a lot more difficult for lion to hunt them. They often fall prey to lion prides, obviously because they're only eyes. Lions definitely do have a taste for old bull buffalo. He's not without threat to lion, though, I must be honest with you. Even though you were having a look at those lions with Pieter a little bit earlier in the afternoon, they're definitely capable of hunting a big buffalo like this. You can have a look at those huge horns, massive haunches. You know how much muscle these guys carry around with them. As we're looking at about 1,600 pounds, he's sniffing the ground over there. There's obviously something there that's got his fancy. As you can see, absolutely This is beautiful, folks. Have a look at this. We have across here buffalo. A little warthog's just come down to drink. We've got a hippo there as well. We've got kudu that have just finished drinking. So serene, so peaceful. This little warthog is a diurnal creature, so it means that he's active during the day, and he's going to go off and find one of his burrows to sleep in. When I say a burrow, it'll be a disused aardvark hole normally that's renovated by him. He renovates that to make it fitting for his size, and then he will use that, and he'll have a series of those throughout the bush as little escape holes if he gets potentially into harm's way from either a leopard or a lion or any other predator. So he'll be making his way to one of those right now. And it's a bit of a dangerous time for walking through the bush for a warthog. Leopard are around at this point at any moment. A leopard could be lurking in that grass there. Most of the animals would know about it probably, because the other thing about knowing that all the animals work together, or this is like a script that they're all players in this movie. Birds give off alarm calls, squirrels give off alarm calls, loads of different animals give off alarm calls, and they all learn that from each other. So it's a bit of a relationship that they have with each other inadvertently, but they learn from each other, and it's just associating danger with that call. So they'll always, if the oxpecker makes a sound, the other animals know about it, and so on and so on. But yeah, it is a bit of a dangerous time for an animal that size. The buffalo are completely fine. They would potentially only have a threat from a really serious lion pride, but with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 male buffalo here, you'd have to be a pretty confident lion pride to take on one of these guys. And then right in the middle, we've got a hippo, which you just saw with Pieter, but this is a solitary male here, and he has been here for a couple of days. We see him here sometimes, and then other times he's down at Twin Dams, and he'll just wait until females come through here, and then try and keep them here into his little herd, or pod of hippos, as they're also known as a collective noun. Beautiful little serene setting here. Fantastic. You know what we're going to do, folks? We're going to roll down the hill, because I want to just take you down to a spot that I know we have hyena. There's a hyena den. I'm not sure if they're going to be there, but we can give it a good go. This is a great time for it, 5 o'clock our time. We don't go to the den after dark because the distraction there can be a little bit dangerous for the pups, or the cubs, sorry. So hyenas are called cubs, not pups, as I just mistakenly said. It's easy to fall into that slot because you think that they're more like dogs. They're actually more like cats than they are dogs. Hyena are in a very unique family, and yes, they're more cat-like than they are dog-like. Incredibly complex social animals. We'll go down and see if they're there. What a lovely drive. It's just been really special this afternoon. Lots of different beautiful species of hoofed animals. There's a nice bit of interaction between those two bulls. I thought they were having a bit of a tussle there. No, I think they're just... maybe. No, one's walked off. Not interested. Not interested. A little bit of head nodding, really characteristic behaviour of buffalo. Nodding their heads and brushing them into bushes and showing their strength to each other. Sounds like a species we all know and love, doesn't it? Well, what an incredible day. Wild parenting, to me, to see those animals, many different species, and how they behave with their young is eye-opening sometimes. The protection, the care, the tender, loving care that they show towards their offspring is quite incredible. And yes, you really do know how serious a mother's job is when you become a father and you actually see that connection that the mother has with the child. And that's what I see with my wife, with my son. I didn't really know what it meant to me. I didn't really understand what it meant to me until I had a child. And my wife, hats off to her. And she's an amazing mother, so I really take my hat off to all the mothers today. Happy Mother's Day. It's an incredible job, as I said, and really, really respected. At the fireside chat at the moment, and we're about to get set up, and when we get set up, we'll come back and we'll be ready for you for a fantastic, absolutely fantastic half hour of all the behind the scenes, really, really intimate stuff, and really look forward to that. Have you had a good time so far? I've had a good time. This is my last drive for a while, so I feel a little bit no, every time I come down here and I do a stint on Safari Live, I feel so privileged. But when it's your last drive, you do get a little bit sad, but at the same time, you feel like you've just had an uplifting experience. It's incredible. And I think that's what the really, really important thing about is Safari Live is you're with us every step of the way. You know what we've been through. We've been through to get here, and broadcasting live from the African bush is like nothing I've ever done in my life. It's one of the best things, or probably the best thing I've ever done in television. So what we're going to do now is cross over to Steph. Steph is an incredible guy. Steph and Scott has added a completely new facet to Safari Live, and really, really incredible stuff to see what they come up with. They've put us on so many leopard and so many other things. So we're going to cross over to Steph, and we'll see you just now.
Well, welcome back to the bushwalk with myself and Scott this afternoon, or at sunset. And guess what? We've decided to come and sit exactly where the quarantine male leopard that you saw yesterday was sitting. We just so happened to find it yesterday. We were moving from shady spot to shady spot after a tip-off from Pieter, who said that he thinks he saw a track on this one road junction. We got there, we found the tracks. We established the direction. We then came in on the tracks. We were heading from shady patch to shady patch. We spied this magnificent weeping boerbean tree from far away. And when Scott and I scanned it with the binoculars, we found the quarantine male lying exactly where I'm sitting right now. Isn't it fantastic that we can be live in your rooms, wherever you are, and we can be sitting where you saw a leopard not even 24 hours ago. It's really one of the most amazing things about a bushwalk. And where we're sitting is actually a termite mound. Now, termite mounds, there's a long debate about how old termite mounds are. Just judging from the tree that's obviously growing on top of the termite mound, this termite mound is in the hundreds of years old. These weeping boorbean trees can go to 600, 700 years old. They're incredibly hard wood. And they are growing, they're slow growing trees, and he's growing on top of this termite mound. So can you imagine how old this is? What we're going to be doing, we're going to be going to ad break, and we will catch you after the ad break. Myself and Scott are going to be coming back to you from the termite mound, and we will be seeing you in a second. All right. So, Scott's going to try and show you what's growing on top of this termite mound. So Scott's busy showing you what's growing around this. Exactly where you're looking now is where we saw quarantine from. That's where we were standing. That's when we saw him sitting exactly where I'm sitting at the moment. Scott and I came down there. We saw him from there, and then exactly where I'm lying. I can do an impression of what he was doing. His head was this way. He was lying down pretty much like this. This is the part that we could see, and he was flicking his tail and he was moving his leg. And then, as far as I know from the footage that was shown to you, he actually climbed into the tree behind us and he was lying on the branch. Now, leopard don't only use their claws to climb trees, but their pads are quite rough. They've got quite a rough pad. And so it's not sticky as such, but it definitely adds some or other type of adhesive effect. And they climb trees incredibly easily. They have a wrist that can lock, which means it can go almost solid. And they hang on their claws and their pads, and then they walk up, just like your cat does at home, very similar to the way that your cat climbs at home. They don't climb all trees, funnily enough. They can, of course, if they get chased into a tree, but they don't climb all trees. But definitely boorbeans like this, jackalberries, marulas. What else, Scott, have you seen them sitting in?
Knobthorns occasionally.
Knobthorns occasionally. So they have a variety of trees, but generally there's just a few trees that they like to sit in, not all of them. And you can see from the growth on this particular termite mound that the trees that are growing on them are particular trees. Not all trees can grow on termite mounds. And I'm actually going to ask you a question. You're welcome to suggest some reasons why only some trees grow on top of termite mounds and not others. You're welcome to send through those suggestions to questions@wildearth.tv, or you can tweet them at #SafariLive, and I'm sure that I'll have some of the answers come through to you, and we'll get back to you with a couple of the winners.
I thought I heard someone honk earlier.
I did, yeah. Scott and I are just sitting in an elevated position on top of this termite mound, and both of us heard alarm calls. Now, they've stopped making the noise. It's one of the beauties of being on foot, is that you can actually listen to the bush around you. You don't have to switch an engine off. And it's just so easy to carry on driving an entire drive and never switch the car off, because there's always another corner to go around. When in actual fact, being like we are, sitting in an elevated position, listening to the bush around us, is actually where it is. Okay, we've got 30 seconds for TV. So, welcome back to myself and Scott sitting on top of the termite mound that you saw quarantine lying on yesterday afternoon. And while you were away, Scott and I were busy debating, and we were posing the question, why do only some trees grow on top of these termite mounds and not a myriad of trees? Now, termite mounds in themselves are like little mineral baths, little mineral deposits. They're little hotspots for minerals. Trees of all types should be able to grow and do grow on disused termite mounds, because termites bring up a lot of water and a lot of mineral salts from below the surface of the ground, and lots of trees like to germinate on that. The answer is fairly simple, in that the trees that are growing on these termite mounds have to be termite resistant. As you'd all know, the termites, they're a pest in wooden homes, and they eat, if you're not careful at least, they eat through all your wooden timber quite easily. These trees have a compound in them called tannin. Now, we all know tannic acid was used in days past to soften leather. That bird that you heard calling there was a crested francolin, my favorite bird call. Not that particular one, that was an alarm call, but that particular bird was a crested francolin. Nothing for us to get concerned about, don't worry. I know I can see Scott's behind me keeping a beady eye on the bush off to our right-hand side. Those are arrow-marked babblers making a noise. They're a communal bird. But coming back to tannic acid. So tannic acid is present as a compound in the trees, and it makes the wood very poisonous for insects like termites. They actually can't eat it. So the trees have developed a way to grow on top of these termite mounds to utilize the water and the high water content as well as the high mineral content, and to avoid competition of other trees. And this boerbean behind me is an exact example of a tree that has a lot of tannic acid in it. In actual fact, in years past, people used to peel the bark off of these trees, strip the outer bark, that woodiness that you're seeing on the bark. There's a red inner bark. And they used to boil and pound that until the bark came out white. And then that water went red, blood red, in a brown color, reddish brown color. I'm not that good with colors. You know, most men battle a little bit with getting the different varieties of colors. And then they used to tan leather in there. So they used to have these huge vats of this boiling bark liquid, essentially, which contained a lot of tannic acid. They didn't know it in those days, of course. And they used to put their leather inside of there and then beat it and stir it and boil it and then roll it soft. And that's how they used to make, or one of the ways in this area, people that settled this area used to make clothes. Now, talking about settlers in this area, the Lowveld where we are right now lies between two mountain ranges. It lies between the Drakensberg mountain range in the west and the Lebombo mountain range in the east. And there's two fault lines that lie just at the base of these mountain ranges. And what's happened is the land between the mountain ranges has subsided very far, but it has, we call it the Lowveld or the low bush because it's this depression. And it's quite warm down here in the summer months, as most low-lying areas are. We're quite close to the coast. Where we're sitting right now is probably about 120 kilometers or about 60 to 70 miles inland from the Indian Ocean, with a country between us and there. Mozambique lies east of where we're sitting at the moment by about 80 kilometers. And then Mozambique is a skinny country, a long skinny country that runs all the way up and past the equator. Now back to this fantastic old tree that's behind me. The boerbean, the actual common name is the weeping boerbean. And it's weeping because it's one of the very first trees in springtime to get its flowers. And it gets these huge globular clusters of red flowers that absolutely drip and weep nectar. And after a very... Got some noise behind us. It's always good to keep your eyes open, folks, when you are in the bush like we are, and definitely to be reactive to noises. I can't see anything.
I think it's thunder.
It's thunder. You're right. We've got a thunderstorm rolling in. It's just the wind that's creating a bit of a problem for us. But not to worry, folks. Scott and I have been doing this for so many years now. Little things like thunder don't really scare us too much. So back to the globular flowers. They're red globular flowers that absolutely drip nectar, and animals and birds of all types just flock to these trees in springtime because they've had a long dry winter, of course. And then boerbean. So the first part of the name is weeping. The second part of the name is boerbean. Boer is the Afrikaans vernacular name for farmer. And the reason for that is that the farmers, the settlers in this area where the tree used to grow, used to take the beans and roast them and turn them into a coffee substitute. As you can imagine, in the settlers' days, as I can imagine would have been in your countries as well, getting dry stores was often very difficult to do, and you had to use the bush and use the natural environment around you to make do with what you had. And this was one of the trees that provided three nice things. Provided a good wood for timber, termite resistant, provides a fantastic place where you can come and look at animals and the flowers and a nice table decoration, and obviously a seed that can be roasted and ground up for coffee. Now, I love these trees. Oh, and a handy place to come and have a look for leopard in if you're worried about it. So we are going to be going into an ad break in a short while. We're going to be going into an ad break very, very shortly. And on the other side of the ad break, you're going to be joining us at the fireside chat. And we will see you there.
5, 4.
Well, welcome back, folks, to our fireside chat. It's great to have you with us here in the African bush. We're really on the cusp of Mother Nature's finest sort of strengths here. There's a thunderstorm over behind us. The sky is beautiful, beautiful blue up against this vegetation. And here we are on Mother's Day. Welcome, buddy.
Yeah.
Good to see you, mate.
Very good to see you. And guys, welcome around the fire. It is, as always with live, been a great adventure this afternoon. And it is a pleasure to be sitting around the fire where everything calms down and stories are shared.
Mother's Day. I tell you what, the job that mothers do, looking after people like
It's actually
us,
the only job. The rest of it is
to get
just
us
sort
to
of...
this age has been an incredible thing. And I think all mothers around the world deserve a medal for what you've done on a daily basis. Every single morning that you get up and care for your offspring, right till the close of business every day, where you put your head on the pillow and go, whew, another one done. Fantastic job. So hats off to all of you. You deserve a medal, as I said. My wife, everyone's wives, happy days. Pete?
Happy Mother's Day, first of all. It really is. We've spoken about it this afternoon, but the one thing I realized the last day or two, and I know we all know this, but one thing we all have in common, not just the amazing mothers that are joining us for this, is that we all have a mother. Every single one of us do. And so a big thank you from all the offspring, if you want, to the mothers. But speaking of Mother's Day, the animal that comes to mind for all of us, and certainly for me in this area, whenever I think of any female nurturing character, is Karula, the female leopard that we hope to see tonight, but she went north. We couldn't see her. Karula is just this beautiful cat, amazing female. She's reared many, many different cubs in this area, of which the two we've been seeing now, Q and Kunyuma. And I've been very fortunate to have spent quite a bit of time here. We call it the early days of Wild Earth, going back some number of years. And we're going to show you a clip just now that is very, very close to me in so many ways, because it links another mother into the story as well. And that is now my beautiful wife, Leishan. And just to explain a little bit before you see it, we thought rather than showing all the incredible stories we've got about Karula, we're going to share one story with you, essentially. It was back in 2009 in March, sort of mid-late summer, and you're going to hear a little, I was going to say little girl, but you can hear a girl's voice in there, very happy as well. We were loving it. It was an amazing experience. That girl is now my amazing wife, Leishan, and the mother of our two kids, Ragnar and Sydney, who are little. Ragnar's 7 months and Sydney's 3.5. So before I choke up, enjoy this. This is Karula, and a very, very special memory for me. And we'll talk about it afterwards. Bit of play there. There we go. Oh.
Are you happy?
I can't breathe. I'm not happy. I'm ecstatic. Hey, don't fall, don't fall. Hey, call the fire brigade. Look at that tail. Look how the tail is working for balance. There we go. Oh.
Oh.
Wait. No. I'll drop down. It's not that high. It's got easily.
Oh.
Oh, look at it. Mongoose jump for it. Wait. Wow, we've got a bit of thunder as well. That's just great, just to add into the drama of such a fantastic afternoon, guys. And as I said, that is a very, very special and dear video to me for many reasons, because it includes part of my personal parenting experience as well in history. But as we said, we've seen many of our offspring since then. That was Mission and Duna, which mean Dawn and Chief, by the way, their names. And now the two that we've seen now. But another one, and HT has gotten to know her well, is Shadow.
Yeah. I mean, this is Shadow and her cub. Shadow is one of Karula's daughters. And I hadn't met Shadow before. We heard about this cub that was born 7 months ago when we were here, but no way in the world could we see this cub and Shadow. And 7 months later, I came back onto the reserve, and second leopard I saw was Shadow and her cub, her beautiful little cub. And the other day, I turned up to a sighting, to an encounter that the guys brought me in on, and there was this incredible moment where Karula had a feed, had a successful hunt, and sure enough, just watch this clip. It's beautiful. Shadow was keeping guard over her cub whilst he fed on her successful hunt. Once he had his fill, she took over and had hers. They then had a little lie down, and before they moved on, I witnessed one of the most beautiful, tender sightings I've ever had of a mother and cub. She started to groom him with massive affection, and you could see how much the cub was enjoying it, even to the point that when she stopped, the cub nudged her to continue. That mother and cub bond looked so powerful, I'll never forget it. They then walked off into the bush, a mother protecting her young at all costs. It was truly magic. That was something that I'll never forget. I reckon, I tell you, it was just so beautiful. It's like, you see these leopards and they're like the embodiment of power and strength and beauty and stealth, what I always say. But then there was this incredible tender moment with this cub that I'll never forget, mate. And I met Shadow and her cub, which I'd wanted to do for ages.
I think just seeing a young leopard cub, just seeing two leopard together is phenomenal. And then when it's a little one and a leopard that you know, and you know Karula, I mean, it's one of the first leopards you saw, we've spoken all about it. So you add all those emotional aspects into it, and it is such a privilege to see something like that. And then to get that endearing, to realize that it's not just us humans that can be good friends or caring mothers or, sensitive to others around us. It is something that is in nature.
It's really incredible. To see them walk off into the bush together like that, it was like the mother was watching. I was just fantastic.
Oh, no, it's goosebump stuff. Every single time when you experience something like that, it is goosebump stuff. Guys, and the other great thing about sitting around the fire and on such a special day as well, like today, we are going to be answering one or two questions that got sent in from everyone, and just discuss a couple of things sort of surrounding what we just looked at, surrounding motherhood, if you want, and caring and parenting. And we're going to do that just after the break. So make sure you stay with us around the fire, or at least come back in a few minutes.
Absolutely.
And we'll be getting to a few of those questions.
We're also going to do some wild parenting, wild Mother's Day shout-outs as well, which is a really important thing. We've had loads of people send tweets and emails to us, mate, so we'll get through as many as we possibly can.
A bunch of those.
We'll see you after the break.
Definitely, guys. See you now.
20 seconds. I'll bring it back in. You can close it, Pete. Okay. After the break, when we come back, we're going to have Steph and the next one. Perfect. 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Well, welcome back to the Fireside Chat, folks. This is absolutely spectacular. We've got lightning in the background. We've got questions ready to go and shout-outs for mums all over the place. So let's get started with those. Happy Mother's Day to everyone.
I think that's a big
The first
start.
But some of the shout-outs we've got here. Mark and Madeline in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Please wish our mum Jo in Albuquerque, who turns 91 in 2 weeks. Happy birthday, Jo. That's the first thing. And happy Mother's Day. Incredible. Amazing stuff. We've got Stacey Fox. Happy Mother's Day to my mum, Jackie. She has been an avid watcher for years. Fantastic. That's so great to hear.
Jackie, nice to have you here.
There you go, mate. There's a couple for you. Diane there.
Diane in Austin, in Texas. That is Diane and Austin, not in Austin, Texas. My mum watches the drives every day. Please wish her Happy Mum's Day. That's Dorothy. Dorothy, I've known you for a long time as well. Happy Mother's Day. Meg in Boston. Happiest Mother's Day to my mum, Bernie. And a huge, huge thanks for introducing me to Safari Live. That's beautiful. Thank you very much, guys. And thank you very much to so many mothers and grandmothers that have introduced kids and grandkids and great-grandkids to this as well.
3 generations we
love
had
it when
before
there's
as
young
well.
people on the drive, as well as obviously the experienced ones. Laura, Alabama. Happy Mother's Day to my amazing mother, Barbara Butler, who joins me at her home watching all of these amazing drives. You want to grab one or two there? John C. Davies, and you take that one.
John C. Davies and Fira, who is 3 years old. Fira wants to wish her mummy, Stephanie, a happy Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day, Stephanie. Melissa, happy Mother's Day to my mother, a huge Safari fan. That's brilliant. Serena W., could you say happy Mother's Day to Shannon Woodall when you can? Well, we can right now. Happy Mother's Day, Sharon. I'll leave the last one for you, big guy.
Mark Ferguson, happy Mother's Day to my mum in Bedford County Nursing Home. Nothing is better than a mother's love. And Mark didn't give you a name, so I think I can happily say that to every single person with you where you're staying. And a big, once again, happy Mother's Day to everyone.
Absolutely.
It's such a pleasure and privilege to be able to do this.
It really is. We've got some also, this is a great little thing for us to have all the information on. So we've got also some questions here. And
Let's make a bit of coffee.
Pete's going to make a bit of coffee for us. Now, I've got a question from James P. Bear in Kansas City. And his question is, what parallels do you see between elephant and man, or elephant and humans, i.e. the raising of their young, caring for the old, etc.? Well, this is very close to my heart, James. It's a question that I was hoping was going to get sent in, because I have this great philosophy. When it's a great philosophy, it's my philosophy about why we connect with elephants. Now, elephants have a very long gestation period. We as a mammal have a relatively long gestation period. We also look after our young and nurture our young a lot when they're born. We lavish our young with care and tenderness. They stay with us for a very, very long time. They're protected by the family unit as well, very similar to humans. We live to a ripe old age, Pete, like elephants. It's an incredible thing. So
Actually, very similar ages, even if you look at sort of elephants
absolutely.
that live in easier conditions as well compared to elephants living wild.
Absolutely, and the care continues and continues. So those elephant breeding herds are normally a matriarch, related females and their cousins, and they stay together for a very, very long time, unless that female dies, when the next oldest, most experienced will probably join up. But
I think
I see lots of
well. Sorry to jump in there, but what I didn't say that the oldest and the most experienced. I think that's another great thing with generations that I'm learning now that I've got my own kids. You've got Jack. Just once you become part of that family growing, is you realize that there's a lot of knowledge passed on as well. I think that's
absolutely.
another great thing, is that you learn such beautiful things from your grandparents and your parents, as well as they teach you things. But the family is such a great thing.
Oh yeah, that family unit, particularly in the elephant herd. So I think that you're right on the money. There is a massive connection with elephants and humans, and I really feel it every time I'm around them, and I know Pete does as well. Here's a question for you, buddy.
It's a nice short question. Ooh, maybe a long answer. Pieter. Oh, this is for me. Sorry. Larry. Larry from the Netherlands. I could almost answer in Afrikaans, Larry. Who makes the better? I can actually read, guys. I promise you, I can read. Okay, let's try it again. Larry Netherlands, you're asking, who makes the better mother? Lions or leopards? Basically, Larry, who makes the better mother? Lions or leopards? I think the interesting part there, Larry, in that question is that we've got two different structures there. You've got lions living in big groups like we saw today on the drive. You've got leopard that are solitary like we learned yesterday on the drive. And therefore their strategies have to be very different. I think ultimately they both make excellent mothers. In fact, I think all mothers are excellent mothers no matter what the species, because if the species survives, ultimately if procreation happens and the babies are reared and grow, then they're great mothers. So whether you do it in a group where the lions are working together, even as far as going to helping each other suckle their cubs and so on, whether you do it solitary, one mother on the cubs, different strategies, but I think both work excellently in the end.
Yep, absolutely. I think it's a great answer, mate. Folks, this is good. This is exciting. This is what the fire is all about. We really love sitting around the fire, telling stories, and again, a million gazillion shout outs to every mother out there. My mum in Australia, which is not Mother's Day today, but I'll say it anyway, and all the mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. I think I look at my wife and I said to this on the drive that I didn't really understand the connection that it would be to be a parent and watch the mother of my child connect. And once I've seen that happen, it's quite a beautiful thing. Being a son of a mother is different to being the father of a son watching the mother and the son, or the daughter. It's quite a beautiful thing.
Explaining Karula's family tree.
Yeah. Well,
but
absolutely.
family in the end, and I don't want to go on about family too much, but I'm a young parent, and to be part of a family is such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And ultimately, the mother, in many ways, maybe we're the only animal where the mother is the lead and the father is the lead. It's not like in animals like with elephants and lions where there's a specific structure, but it is such a beautiful thing to be part of. And without the mother's guidance and love and the maternal instinct, that it wouldn't exist.
Exactly.
That family that we know as humans.
Absolutely.
Speaking of mothers, I think we promised perhaps that we're going to name a young cub.
All right, then. We'll name the cub. What do you think, mate? I'm going to leave. What do you reckon?
Yeah, might as well. What do you guys? I know a lot of people are very
you see
keen for
that?
this. Yeah, big lightning, that side as well.
Fantastic. Unbelievable lighting behind us. Should we leave it to after the break? Or you want to do it
What do you
before
guys
the break?
think? We're planning to do it before the break, but...
Go on, let's do it before the break.
all right.
I just want to keep you in suspense.
Well, firstly, just that female shadow is absolutely beautiful. And what a beautiful name as well. You know, naming leopards is a big thing.
Yeah.
And it's not taken lightly in Sabi Sands. But, H, do you want to give the name away? Let's not tease this on longer than need be.
I think you pronounce it better than I do, mate.
It's a beautiful name. It is pronounced Sindele. And Sindele means survivor, which is the perfect name for Shadow's cub, because that cub is her first cub surviving to that age. And what a lovely name. We're going to talk about that name again after the break. It's coming up soon. After the break, Stefan from The Walk is going to join us, and we're going to talk about a few things amongst ourselves and recall that name again as well.
Absolutely.
See you after the break.
See you now.
Shadow's cub. Yeah.
We keep talking straight to the end, eh?
20 seconds, guys.
We stay on them and we keep talking all the way through to the end.
Quiet, quiet.
He's talking in the ear.
10. Well, welcome back, everybody, to our Safari Live Fireside Chat. And this is one of the favourite parts for us. This is a bit where we get to sit around the fire and have a little bit of a chat about the story that we have loved in the past week or the past couple of weeks or today. And I find that really, really exciting. But before we carry on, oh, here he is.
Man,
How are you?
Stefan.
All right, mate.
Those cups.
Good.
Hello,
Good.
big man.
I made it.
Hello, mate. Well
The
done.
storm.
Yeah, goodness, it's coming, mate. How are you, buddy?
I'm fine, thanks, and you?
Good. Nice walk?
It was a good walk today. Lots of elephant, lots of buffalo.
Fantastic, mate.
It was nice.
Well, welcome to the fire, mate.
Thank you.
We were just
Yeah.
talking about Shadow, just about to talk to Shadow's Cub, about Shadow's Cub.
Yeah,
as it
the
turned
name
up.
was decided in the end, and we must just explain to him. I'm going to try and do this quickly, but this name might not last permanently. This is, let's say, a wild earth name, something we're going to use for the next while that cub is growing up, because once that cub disperses, that cub will get a new name in whichever area it settles down. Being a male cub, it might settle down anywhere in the massive surrounding. That was a good lightning.
Yeah,
you see
yeah,
that? It might settle down anywhere in the Kruger area. So that name might change and that cub will leave. But in the interim, we need to refer to it as someone because we're going to get to know that cub very well. That having been said, Sindele, beautiful name.
Lovely name.
This man Shangan is also quite good. Sindele means survivor, as I'm sure you knew. And what do you think of the name?
I think it's an apt name. You know, leopard cubs have a tough time growing up, and statistics are 8 out of every 10. Sort of, but these
Yeah,
two ones
right.
are good,
Yeah.
and they've done their job well. But
Yeah.
it definitely is an apt name for a cub.
Fingers
See what-
crossed.
Shadow and Sindele.
Yeah, see what happens
Fantastic.
when he gets a bit
Speaking
older.
of cubs, speaking of young animals, and certainly speaking of all these things on Mother's Day, which is a very special pleasure, we decided we're going to show you a couple of highlights, and I was hoping to show you something from today, but I picked another one as well that I really enjoyed as far as the experience goes, guys, and this was on a drive a couple of days ago, 3-4 days ago, and you guys know this as well as anyone. But we had this big elephant herd, and I could see them heading down to the water, but they were in the thick bush, and we waited and we preempted, and luckily it happened perfectly at the end. And what you're going to see now is that we caught them as they were coming down to the waterhole, and that for me is always such a special experience. And it was a nice herd, and she was walking down very happy, sort of giving us a little shake of the head, greeting, but you can also see they're happy to get down to the water, you know, and that's always great because there's this sort of happy, light mood amongst the Ellies. And they came down. Of course, there was some buffalo at the waterhole because it's dry time, and then they just spread out across the water, other side of us. Beautiful setting, lovely light, and that young elephant, and I'm pretty sure it's the same one that actually did that little mock charge with us the other day, and that did some pretty cool things around HD's car as well. Curious little guy. He went for a great mud wallow, proper mud wallow, you know, trunk to tail tip kind of thing, front to back, everything. The adults as well, they were scratching a bit and mud bathing, and just that whole sighting for me, perfect light, anticipating what they're going to be doing, and getting the beautiful view afterwards. That was a very enjoyable piece of game drive experience for me. So that was certainly a highlight for me, and yeah, glad you guys could share it with me again if you weren't there on the day. I want to pour some coffee while you guys tell yours. HD, what was yours?
Well, I've had some incredible ones this week, but one that really stood out for me was one morning when I went down to the hyena den. We just popped in there before we came to the fireside, and I turned up there and there was 2 females lying down and their pups. Well, the antics that went on after I arrived was pretty funny. The hyena pups they had a big meal, or the parents had a big meal, and both the mums were lying there with full bellies. They actually had a feed off Q male, the quarantine male, our male that we were watching's kudu kill, and they were just running around, chasing each other. The parents were just lying there, just like so tired. Cubs were running all over them, running over, tripping on them, chasing each other, and then jumping on their mums, and just like you could just see the mums going, "Oh, for goodness sake, will you give
us and didn't see us until the last minute. Sticks up his head. Oh, I'm saying to Scott, we need to get out of there. We need to get to some high ground. So we backed out to some high ground. He stopped at this bush. It was a fallen down tree. And he just sat there with his head right up, listening to
Standing
us.
tall.
Standing tall, trying to make himself look as big as, and he was looking bigger, I promise you. From where I was standing, he was looking very big. But he was looking at us. You could see that he was indecisive about what was there. At that stage, I don't even think that he knew we were there. I think he just heard us, really. And obviously, with Scott's backpack on. And then he turned away and he walked back into the bush. You could see his head was up and you could see he was a little bit uncomfortable with everything. But he ended up feeding when he left there and we carried on with our day. I must be honest, it was an awesome sighting, perfect textbook approach to a big elephant bull, so we had a good
Perfect
time.
beginning to end.
A perfect beginning to end, yeah.
That's one of the things that I think when you hear stories like that, that's what safari life's all about. It was really live, and I've got goosebumps even listening to that story, mate.
I love the explanation as well, because that's one of the things I love about elephants. Elephants have this ability to just get bigger and bigger and bigger the closer they get to you. It's literally like they grow as they approach.
And quickly as well.
Very quickly.
Oh, sorry.
Well,
something warm with the storm in the
thank you,
background.
Just to finish up, folks, a little bit of coffee and a beautiful thunderous sky. We probably should start to say goodbye. We've got about a minute and a half to go, and we can talk forever. But I think the first thing I just want to say is thank you to everyone involved, every single person. I'm not going to name the names. Everyone knows who they are, but particularly the team off-site, which was Scotty and Brent and Andrew, cameraman, our two cameramen, VM and Brian, the three of us, and all the team. Absolutely amazing job, and I've had one of the best times. Absolutely incredible. My wife, Nat Geo Wild, everyone involved, thank you very much.
I've just had such a beautiful experience, and this has just been such a privilege to share this with you. And I know that you two are going to be moving on after this, and I hope to be privileged enough to do it again with you.
Mate,
hope so
I've
too.
really had a lot of fun, and you'll be seeing me soon.
Do hope so. We're going to shake hands at the end again, but I fully echo that. Guys, from my side, just a big thank you to everyone. As always, I want to thank you first and foremost for being part of this, because without you, we would not be here. Big thank you to Nat Geo Wild as well. It's amazing. It's always been one of my dreams to be part of this. And Graham Wallington and the whole team, it's been an amazing experience. And I want to echo HT as well there. I want to thank my wife, Leishan. I was so happy we could share a little moment earlier. Family support in this means everything. So a fantastic and beautiful Happy Mother's Day to all of you. And we're going to be seeing you in Africa again live as soon as we can. Cheers, everyone.
So,
Nice thunderstorm, huh?
really nice.
Lightning.